for another episode of the Coach's Compass. Now, remember, I don't know what episode it is. Continue to record, continue to bring cool guests from all across the world. And remember, hit that like, subscribe, comment down below, so you can continue to grow, continue to bring on cool guests all over the world. I've got another special guest for me here today. I've got Coach Eduardo. He's a sports performance coach, strength conditioning GA at Kaiser University. He works with volleyball, baseball, women's basketball, and track and field. Coach, thank you and welcome to the Coach's Compass.
No, thank you. I'm so happy to be on this. It's kind of surreal. As a young coach, I'm on social media a lot and I see a bunch of coaches that I've got inspired by to be on this exact podcast. And it's like a full circle moment for me right now. So it's pretty awesome.
I think that's one of the most exciting things about doing this podcast for myself is bringing people on that are getting inspired by some of the other people that you guys see on social media and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
And it's just so fun to see you guys continue to learn from one another. Because that's the thing about this business and this industry that nobody really understands. Like, it's okay to learn from one another. But if you look at it, you're early in the career,
Yep.
right? You're
I would
just
say this GA ship is probably I'm about to be done with it full 2 years, but I think I had one other year of full-time coaching. So I'm 3 years into it fully immersed. So
brand new.
I could be like a little baby, to be honest. So
So if you look at the start of into this 3 years, what is something you wish you would have known then that you know now?
I think the first thing comes to mind is getting comfortable by, I guess, just failing, I guess, using that word. I think when I got into the GA ship, honestly, I'll be honest with everyone, I thought I had a good basis of collegiate strength conditioning. And then after my first 5 months, I'm like, dude, I know nothing. I know nothing in terms of the education wise and coaching with different athletes from different parts of the world. We have a bunch of international students at Kaiser. So that's also a brand new scope that you have to take on. Just getting comfortable messing up is my biggest thing. I tell the new GAs that came in this year, the first years, that was my advice to them. Get comfortable by messing up because it's inevitable. You're going to mess up. That's the best way to learn. You're going to mess up in the coaching room. You think you're going to have everything set in stone, and then something that you out of your control happens. And then you're obviously I tell everyone you're your biggest critique, your critic. And you're gonna be hard on yourself more than anyone else around you is gonna be So I tell everyone hey, don't try to be so hard on yourself and just own it and then just learn from it. Everyone says that all the time. It's a broken record, but these last 3 years is literally immersing myself in that. And yeah, I'm gonna mess up. I just gotta learn from it and then just keep growing and growing and growing step by step.
What are some of the certifications that you've been chasing over these past 3 years that you learned that it doesn't really matter until I get experience?
Oh my gosh, yeah, because I graduated my undergrad fall 23, and I really didn't have any certs. Then I ended up getting my when I started Kaiser, I had my USAW. I ended up getting my USAW for Olympic lifting. Then I ended up getting my CSCS. And then honestly, comparing my internships to these certifications and the way they're teaching, it was a black and white. I was yeah, we can learn everything by the book, but then it does help you to a certain extent. But right when you see all these coaches, these full-time coaches that you're under and you're observing, you don't really go by the book. A lot of things take the swerve and a lot of stuff. And I told myself, I'm all right, let me just know the basis of everything I need to know that we still use from the book. And then I'm just going to absorb everything like a sponge from all my mentors that I've gone through these past few years. So that was really wake up call for me. I was luckily enough to do a continuing education before I started Kaiser, and it was down in Miami. And basically the first opening slide, I'll never forget it. It said it was a bunch of these he was a DPT, CSCS. I think it was a sports certified a residency, and then all these other letters by the name. And then literally under it says these letters do not matter if you don't cover the experience part of this career. And I was bro, this is so true though. And then we going down from there, and I'm yeah, I still attest that to this day. I tell everyone that it's just letters by your name if you do not have the experience to back it up.
That is 100% true. You also talk about your mentors
Oh
you
yeah.
have looked up to. Who are some people that you continue to learn from in the industry and hold you accountable to make sure you continue to grow?
Right. So I would love the first person that comes to mind, because I remember I saw your page pop up on my Explore feed. It was this is a while back. I think it was a year ago. And the first person that inspired me to do social media and post content and try to inspire others was the strength conditioner for baseball at Georgia Southern, Hunter Lakey. His content was so eye-catching. Like, I shout out to him, like, his content is so perfectly executed and edited that it caught my eye, and then right when I started from him, like, I'm like, "Dude, like, let me start doing this too, like, maybe I can inspire, like, other young coaches that could do the same thing." And then when you reached out to me and I saw the handle, I'm like, "Dude, I've seen this handle before." And then I scrolled down your feed and I found it. I'm like, yo, this guy is the one that kind of started inspiring me to like, grow as a strength and conditioning coach in the social media field. And then other people within that same network of the baseball field, like Joe Padula, amazing guy. He's like taking off in social media right now. Coach Cam from Cincinnati, that whole baseball network kind of inspired me. And then also, I would say to this, like I'm kind of biased because now I'm under that coaching philosophy of a lot of Charles Poliquin influenced coaches that are in the field right now. I would say like I have a whole story on that, but like all these people like Joey Burgos, Alan Bishop, Coach Pat Lewis from Charlotte, Anthony Cockrell is a big one. They've been like such huge like mentors in a social media manner to me that like it helped me grow as a coach these last 2 years at Kaiser. So it was huge.
That's a crazy network right there because you name a lot of names that we actually have had on, and you don't realize that all these people come from the same coaching tree and then continue to help each other. How have you used social media? Like you said, you learned from Hunter Lakey, but to also use that to reach out to these other coaches to kind of continue to help yourself grow.
Yeah, it got me really comfortable being uncomfortable in terms of like just reaching out to people. And like if they don't respond, they don't respond. Like what's the worst that could happen? Like it got me like
Nothing.
nothing could happen. Like you're just back at square one where you started out from. So after I got comfortable like seeing these guys like grow and stuff, and I reached out to a couple of them, and then they were all so receptive of what I was saying, and they would reply with like genuine answers. They didn't just reply with like one sentences, like here, like listen that. They gave me like full paragraph responses on like how they like determined exercise selection or exercise order or anything like that. And then when I saw that, I'm like, dude, these are genuine people because I've also experienced people that just replied with like one, two words and that's it. But these guys have like such a great following and they still make time for people like me, like a young strength coach to learn from them. And I'm like, you know what? Like I could do the same thing, like from like these first year GAs that are coming in, like never like I guess like be too big enough to like respond to someone ever. Like
For sure.
everyone's starting the same way. Everyone wants to learn. And as long as like you put that effort in to just to reach out people, you will like see the huge growth that you're doing within like a year or so. So that's been
For
awesome.
sure. I mean, even if you're only 3 years into this, you're still further ahead than some of the people that are just now getting started, right? So
Right,
they're still
right,
trying
right.
to learn
Yeah,
from
yeah.
you and want to reach out to you. And there's that same fear that you had.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
I don't know if I reach out, like, they'll actually respond. But if you think back to it now, like, what's a belief you had in coaching when you started that you completely see differently now?
Think I think having as a strength coach, having more control than I thought I would have. Like, I thought I would be in control of so many things within the athletes. But then what hit me really hard is like, dude, like, there's very little we can control. You're in the weight room and like, yes, you control like the technique they do, the rep quality, the rep integrity to a certain extent. But like, if you don't have that buy-in with them, it's just so much harder. And like, there's so many external stressors within this career field that like you have to like really be like at peace in your mind like hey like I tried the very best that I could possibly have done in the weight room and like it didn't turn out the way I wanted to but like hey like at least I could tell myself I did the most I can. Then like as a young coach like again like I said before like you're your biggest critic and you're just gonna like be hard on yourself all the time. And at first I was so hard on myself dude, like I would be down on myself after like a weight room session that didn't go perfectly and I'm like dang like why did I do this, why did I do that. And then eventually I got to the point I'm like dude I can't control this, like control the controllables and like then just learn from it. Like maybe you could alter some things, influence some other stuff, but at the end of the day, like you're just really doing your best effort with these athletes, and these athletes are their own beings. So like it's just trying to create that relationship, like that's gonna help you really like you know advance in the field.
Because you never know. Everybody is something different, right? And
Yeah, dude.
we're talking about kids.
Ah,
We're talking
dude.
about 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Even they're getting a little bit older, but like, when you think about it, they could have had a girlfriend, boyfriend broken up with them that day. They could
Yep.
have got a bad
Yep.
grade.
Yep.
Something been going on back home that they're far away from home. They miss home. They don't know what they're gonna do for spring break. Like there's so many odds that go into like how
Right.
they show up every day. What's a win in your career that wouldn't show up on the resume though?
That wouldn't show on the resume. I think now, like I'm ending my GA-ship in like 2 months, and that's not on my resume. I think one, I would say my ability to create relationships, like genuine relationships with my athletes. There's this quote I learned very early in my career that I always tell to everyone: you got to show how much you care before how much you know. And at first, like, I was big into like a sciencey nerd way. Like I got to make sure my athlete knows that I know all the science behind what they're doing. I got to make sure they know that. And then that kind of like neglected the issue of like me building a genuine relationship with them. And like I'm a young coach. I'm only 25 years old, and some of the athletes I have right now, they're similar to my age. Like especially the grad students, they're like literally my age. So like learning to create a relationship and have that balance where I could be really really cool with them and talk about like sports or like what they're doing outside of Kaiser. But then also right when they step in the weight room, they know like this is work time. Be locked in, and they know like sometimes some of my athletes come out of nowhere and they'll be like, "Hey, like Eddie, like why are you like being so like locked in right now?" As a joke though, and I'm like, dude, we're working right now. And then like I gotta make sure like I'm joking in a fine line where like they don't get too comfortable and they take advantage of it. So definitely like getting that buy-in. And then like I think number two for me is some I guess people won't know from the resume is my I guess I don't know how to say like not being so lenient with coaching in terms of like technique in the weight room. And when I first got into strength conditioning, I think I was naturally good in a group setting, but then I did an internship at FAU. Shout out to Zane Scott. He was one of like the biggest pivotal guys that changed my career is not being so lenient with form, like no matter what it is. And that's how I fell in love and be so biased with the Charles Poliquin influence coaching tree. Cause if you look at all their coaching and like their athletes, they're all elite movers in the weight room, like their squatting pattern, their bench pattern, all these movements that I think from a young age everyone needs to master. That's what I learned from Zane. He was so good at being one on one. So good. Like he knew how to turn it off and on. And that's how I kind of learned too. And then now I'm so proud of it. Like I'm not scared to go up to an athlete and tell them, hey, we gotta shave off 20 pounds and like hurt their ego a little bit. Cause that's how I was at before. I was like, if I tell them to like shave off 10 pounds, I'm gonna hurt their ego. But then like their form isn't up to par to my standards I want in the weight rooms. I guess it's like something like common sense, like duh, you gotta make them shave off weight. But like some people like gotta, overcome that barrier of being like uncomfortable with the athlete. So I think those are the top two things that I tell myself all the time that I'm really proud of that I developed in the last 2 years.
100%. I mean, because you're closer in age, and a lot of us that are, I would say, a little bit older, the older
Right.
coaches are like, "Oh man, these new generations of kids have gotten soft and all this stuff. We can't demand this from them. We can't talk to them like that." But you literally said, like, if you have the relationship with them, you can tell them, like, "Hey,
Oh
you need to
yeah.
shave off 20 pounds."
It's so much
Literally, like,
easier. So much easier, dude. Like you learn their
yeah,
name right away, and then from learning their name, like you just have a normal conversation. One of my go-to questions is like, "Hey, like what's your favorite food?" Like and then we like that opens up a whole door of like, "Hey, where's you from? Where's your ethnicity from?" I'm like, "Oh, this is my ethnicity." And that leads to a whole conversation of like other things like outside of like strength and conditioning and sports. So that was the biggest
that's all
thing
they
for
want to
me.
know.
Yeah.
Do you care about me more than what like these
Yeah.
numbers are and everything?
Yeah, right. And they know when I'm like serious, and then they're like, "Okay, Eddie's serious right now. Let's lock in. Like, let's do this." And he knows, like, they trust me now to the point where like anything I do that maybe seems crazy, like for example, like 10-second eccentric chin up. They're like, "Eddie, this is crazy," especially my female athletes. But I'm like, "Do you guys want to get stronger?" And they're like, "You're right." And then they just go into it and they crush it.
Oh, trust me, you too. You tell me 10 seconds, you said it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll argue it, but I know it's gonna work. But like, coach,
come
10
on.
seconds, dog.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. It's tough, but it's been a good ride so far. So I'm happy that I've learned that at a pretty young age, and that's why I try to tell the first year GAs right now at Kaiser and anyone that's coming up into this, like you gotta really learn how to create that strong relationship, especially at a young age. And like I think sometimes they kind of take me more serious than an older figure sometimes, because an older figure might represent to them like their head coach that's older, or like a teacher, or like a principal. And then like I've learned like at my young age, I can make that really, really healthy relationship as like I'm a really good friend with them, like because I'm similar to age. But then I know when to flip the switch and it'd be like, yo, like I don't want to say I'm an authoritative figure, but I am right now in the weight room. So
Yeah,
it's a
and I
good,
think that
good
that's where a
switch.
lot of the older generation struggles because they want to come in right away with authoritation, right? They don't want to be the in charge,
Right.
better than man. Instead of coming in and like you don't even have to demand that. Like if you have a relationship with them, if you, they know, hey, that's coach. So when it's time to turn it on, like we'll turn it on. But outside of here, we can be cool. That's how
Yeah.
you get your buy-in, and
Yeah.
that's where there's the disconnect and the struggle for some of the older coaches, but you're just now becoming a G, like getting out your GA ship.
Right.
We have a lot of grind talk
Oh
with the
yeah.
GA. How has it been, right? Like, what do you think should change with for GAs, interns, and how do we help it become more healthy standard or way of living and becoming a coach?
Right. So I would say the GA ship, a lot of people go through it. A lot of people go through this route. I would say depending who you are, it will benefit you or it wouldn't really benefit you in a way. For me, I was coming out of my undergrad at UCF. I had some experience, but I didn't really have a lot of collegiate strength and conditioning experience. I had a lot of private sector. So when I was talking to my mentor at the time, he did a GA ship too at the rec center, and he told me like, "Hey, dude, if you have an ability to get your master's paid for, and get experience more at the collegiate level, do it. Like, why not? Like, especially considering my position." So I was like, yeah, let me do it. And to this day, it was like the best decision I've made so far because I this is what I needed. But some people have more experience than like I do at the time. So if you have more experience and you underwent a collegiate internship, then like might as well do that. And if you think you're ready to go for a full time, go for it. You know, as long as you have your credentials, like your CSCS, and you have your BS, like just do it. But when I got into this, like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think it was so, I guess, workload heavy in terms of like how much work I had to do with my teams and then focus on school. Like, I'm telling everyone, this like a GA ship, no matter like how many people like think it's easy, it's hard. Like, it's hard. Like, you're working in a real talk, you're working the same amount of hours as a full time. Then you have to focus all your time at the end of the day with classes. Like me, I'm like in the facility by depending on the day, but like 5 in the morning in fall. And then I'm there all day till probably have an hour break, go get some food, come back, and then have class from 6 p.m. to sometimes 9 p.m. Yeah, you're there like the whole entire day. It's like, and that's kind of like, I guess, the one of the flaws of like the GA ship. Sometimes like people like let that whole workload take over their whole life. And that was me in my first year. Like, I'm like, dude, this is my first year. I got to make sure I make an impression. I got to make sure I put all my like marbles in one bag. Got to make sure I'm going hard. But then you quickly find out that like it's so unsustainable. Like you start neglecting what the priority is, which is your health. And like you start losing mad sleep. You start losing like your ability to have like I guess fun outside of your career, and then that ends up affecting your actual work because then you're at work, you're so tired, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like this is the next thing I have to do, and then I can't catch up with stuff because like you have teams all day, and then maybe you have a little like brief periods throughout the day, like you could program for your teams, and then you go back into another session, and then you go back to another session, and then you have like a little hour break where you have to eat, then you eat, and then you go into class period, and then you're at class, and then you're like your brain is fried by the end of the day.
Yeah, and you
So
got to figure out time in there too.
yeah, exactly. So then I tell a lot of people like especially the first year Jays because before they even got to Kaiser, they kind of reached out to me and I kind of give them like the rundown, and I was being completely transparent. Like I'm not like trying to beat around the bush. Like, hey, like you guys make sure you guys want it. Like going to this career, and you got to make sure you know what you want from this GA show. Like you get in as much as like you get out as much as you put in, and they were all like, oh okay, like I didn't know this at first, but then like yes I could do it, and all the first year GAs are doing amazing right now. And I try to like guide them as much as I can. But I definitely would love to see like in the future, like I guess like the strength and conditioning departments know like the hours the GA shifts are realistically working, and then try to give them more of a buffer because a lot of us have to get second jobs to support what we need to do, and sometimes like that second job will conflict with like your teams or the teams that like you're working with at Kaiser, for example, and just making it more normality to have another job because you have to sustain yourself no matter what. And that's what a lot of people like tiptoe around. And that's what I would love to change in the field, like is like the financial aspects. Like if you're doing a GA ship and especially in South Florida or like in a like a heavy cost place, you have to get a second job, like to sustain yourself. Or just take out a bunch of loans, which I tell people like if you could do anything else but take out a loan, do that. So that was kind of my
Even if you're not in
advice
a
with
big
them.
city, like you still need to be able to live and function, right?
Right.
Like you still need some type of part-time work to be able to meet and make ends meet. Because like we all know the GA ship like isn't.
Nah, and some GA
Yeah,
ships, some packages like offer like full like tuition waiver, housing, meal plan, and those I guess is like your bang for your buck. But usually like in bigger cities that I've noticed, they don't offer like housing. they don't offer the meal because obviously like it's so like cost of living so high here. So I'd tell them like just be ready for no for what you're gonna be into, and then make sure like even if the people that you're going into the department like don't normalize it and don't encourage you to get another job, like do it. Do what's best for you. Like no matter what anyone else is thinking. Like yes, you gotta be in a respectful manner, like, but like do it in a professional way. Like, hey, like I know I'm working this amount of hours, but I need a second job. And then just give them and communicate what that schedule is like for that second job and just be upfront about it. Like I tell all these first teachers, never let anyone make you feel bad for doing something for yourself, especially if it's like literally like the bare minimum of the essentials. Never make anyone make you feel bad for that, doing those stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah. And like I feel like a young coach, you get FOMO sometimes. Like if you're not at the facility, you're missing out. But like, dude, like you gotta make your your stuff to live. So I tell everyone just like be true to yourself and be confident with yourself. And you're gonna end up doing everything that's best for you and never make anyone else like, discourage you from doing that.
I love that because not many young coaches are willing to go out there and actually say that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so people are afraid, like, hey, I step out and don't do what every other person does at GA. I'm not going to get the next position. I'm not going to get that title, or or that option to go somewhere else. But you fast forward 10, 15 years from now, coach. Last question before we get out of here. What do you hope people say about the way you coach? Just who you coach, but who Coach Eduardo is.
I think and dude, that's a long time from now. But I think I would love for them to just say that I I was never lenient with anything in the weight room, and held everyone to a standard above anything else. Like that's why I hope people say like even like people that observe my weight room sessions or like my athletes, they were like, Coach Eddie never let me get by doing this or like half-assing a rep or cutting a rep short or cutting the range of motion on a squat. Like that's why I take really pride in it because that's what I developed in so far these first 2 years is like I became a coach that was like that's not lenient with anything. Like, this is how I want a squat to look. This is how I want a squat to look. And that always trickles back to like how well I got to know my athletes and how much I cared. And like I try to do the best I can with all of them. And like they see it, like my volleyball girls, they come to me and they like even we're joking, like jokes aside, they come up to me they're like, Eddie, thank you so much. Like you've changed my way of thinking outside of the weight room. And one of those things is like the nutrition side. Like I've tried to do hammer down the nutrition things with all my athletes. And like some of my athletes, like they call me back, which is like the biggest like dose of like happiness to me is they're like, yo, Eddie, like I ended up eating this way and I never stopped. Like I built this great healthy habit and foundation and I never stopped doing it. And I'm like, dude, that's like the biggest smile on my face. Like I'm
Yeah,
making impact even when they leave and they're a retired athlete. So like definitely like just they know I put the best and upheld a standard in the weight room and like from that they took that outside the weight room and just grow into whatever they choose to do after they finish their sport.
I love it, coach. Man, it's inspiring to hear a younger coach continue to hold these standards and continue to grow and continue to learn from others. Right. So, coach,
Yeah,
I want to say thank you so much for coming on today and keeping it real
of
and
course,
taking
dude.
time out of your day.
No, thank you so much. This is again a full circle moment for me, and like this is like awesome. Like I didn't like you kind of have imposter syndrome sometimes. You're like, I
Right.
can't believe I'm here because I see all the people that inspired me to do it, and now I'm in the same spot. So I just hope to like bring some education to some young coach out there that's trying to do the same thing that I'm doing.
Love it, coach. And we're out.
Thank you.